Hi guys, sorry if there's some traffic noises, but I have a pretty lively street right outside my window here. But your instructor, David Perez, and let's see, it's Ballet San Angelo, asked me to do a little video and talk to you guys, and I'm more than happy to do this. I think it's great that he has some male ballet students, and he told me that you like my work, you've seen my videos, so that's really nice too. I haven't been performing for a lot of years, but I have been posting stuff on YouTube just for fun, and it's very flattering that you still enjoy my stuff. But I thought I'd kind of address a few issues. First, a little bit of something about myself. You know, I started when I was 9 years old, and a long time ago, in the 50s, when ballet was not, especially for a boy dancer, obviously, ballet was not very well accepted. Luckily, my parents were in show business, and I was in Los Angeles, so that was a little easier. So I can imagine what it's like in a smaller town or in Texas or someplace that doesn't have show business as an industry. But still, back in my day when I started, being a male ballet dancer, forget it. I mean, really, I had to run home sometimes after school being chased, afraid for my life, literally. So just second guessing here, maybe if some of you guys are facing a little of that, a little bullying, a little ignorance, let me tell you a way to handle this. When I was like 10 and 11 and getting bullied all the time, and I was getting bullied also for the way I looked, because I wasn't big and, I wasn't into sports and I wasn't macho particularly, I'd get bullied for that too. And then when they found out I was a ballet dancer, well, you can imagine, it was hell. It was really hell. But I started analyzing, why do they hate me so much? I mean, I didn't have anything to do with them, but it was like my mere presence irritated them. And I started to think, well, what is it about me or about dancing ballet that's so threatening? And then I realized that bullies are basically people that are afraid. And to make themselves feel better, they act aggressively. And they'll try to put down somebody that's not just like them or in their group. Well, I looked at the group, the people that were bullying me. They weren't really very bright. They didn't do well in school. They kind of weren't popular, so they had to make their own group to make themselves feel popular. So I looked at these people and I thought, well, these people don't even know me, but they're bullying me. Well, I don't want to be part of their group. Again, maybe I thought I was better than them. Because again, like I said, they didn't get good grades, they weren't involved in anything, and most of them that bullied me weren't even into sports. They weren't even, actually I had football players protecting me, walking home sometimes after school dances or things like that. So I thought, well, I'm being harassed by idiots. And that kind of made me feel good. I was like, okay, so I'm being bullied by people that are losers. So they're jealous. And they're jealous I have something I like to do. And years later, after I got out of high school, I ran into a couple of these jerks. And they were really nice to me. And they apologized. And they said that they were mad at me because I had the guts to just basically forge ahead and do whatever I wanted to do. I did some, musicals in high school, and I sang, and I did some acting, which again was not the popular thing to do. But I did it because I loved it and I wanted to do it. And then when I realized the people bullying me were just sad, I mean, basically I started feeling sorry for them. So their bullying didn't make me upset. It kind of made me laugh. I mean, it took, I had to understand this. It took me a little time to understand what was going on. Now, at the same time, I'm telling you guys, again, I don't know if you are being bullied, but some of the younger ones, if you are getting some, negative input, try to just remember that does go away. It really does. And the people that are bullying you are not very smart. They're just sad, small, terrified little jerks. And just remember that that will stop. And the more you ignore it, the quicker it stops. If you let it get to you, they love it and then they'll keep doing it. But if you ignore it and you just put your head down and just do what you're doing, don't get into fights, it's not worth it, they eventually will stop. They always do. Now, at the same time, depending on your situation, make sure you're safe. If you're having an especially aggressive guy, I had one that was really scary. He really scared me. I think he had mental problems on top of everything. But, just watch your back. Make sure you don't go home alone, through a dark alley or something. And if it's after a dance or something, see if you can go with a group home. Just be aware, because some of these people, you can't handle them. So the best to do is try to ignore them and do what I say. And remember that they don't really affect your life. And just look at them like through a little, they're just small, little scared. Look at them through your fingers and go, oh, look how small that person is. It's just teeny, little scared ant. Anyway, so that's about the bullying. So I went through all that, and it went away, and everything was fine. And I wanted to get into this thing about, there was this very famous writer, philosopher, professor, who had a TV series for a while on PBS. And it was The Power of Myth, and his name was Joseph Campbell. And he did this series about myths and fairy tales and Greek legends and everything, and how these stories are archetypical, meaning that they are everywhere and we're not really aware of them. Anyway, one of his major points was to follow your bliss, was his kind of catchphrase. Follow your bliss. Because he pointed out that to be a happy person, you have to do what you love to do, whatever it is. Now, this is not thinking in a way of getting rich, but a lot of rich people are miserable. I know a lot of really wealthy people. On my board of directors, when I had my ballet company, and then in New York City Ballet, I rubbed elbows with countesses, seriously. And a lot of them weren't happy because they never followed their bliss. They never followed what really inside they love to do. And Balanchine used to say, and it's a great line, he said, I don't want people that want to dance. He said, I want people that have to dance. As you know already, if you've taken any classes, dancing is hard. It's physically hard, and you have to concentrate, and you get tired, and when you get tired, you get unhappy, But it's the same as sports in that sense. It takes a lot of effort, blood, sweat, and tears to be any good. Just like in sports, same thing. But this follow your bliss is really important if you're a dancer. And I'll get into why. One is you can put up with the bullying easier if you follow your bliss. Secondly, people that follow their bliss, even if they don't become famous or even if they don't become rich, they're happier people because they're doing what they love to do. And if you really, really work hard at doing what you love to do, you usually will become successful. And if you become successful in whatever it is, you can make a living, whether it's being a carpenter or an architect or a doctor or whatever strikes your fancy. And if it's dancing, it's dancing, and dancing is a noble art. Actually, it's funny because I studied a lot about dance history, and in the 1800s, 1700s, and 1800s, you were not considered a well-rounded gentleman. You weren't considered educated if you did not study dance and weren't a good dancer socially. You had to study fencing, which is great. You had to learn how to fence, and you had to learn how to dance. And not just, court dances. You had to really have some technique and really understand the art form. That's because people in those days thought to be truly civilized, you had to know lots of things, including dancing. So we're really basically just a throwback to our ancestors. So we're gentlemen, you see. We're a little bit on another plane here. Anyway, but back to this follow your bliss. So in dancing, it's a tough career because unless you become a star or somebody very well known, you don't make a lot of money. Not a lot. If you're a good dancer, and companies are always looking for men, or boy dancers, they're always looking, you can get into a decent company and make a decent salary and travel. I like to travel. And because of my career, I've been all over the world 3 times at least, and it's been great. And you learn about different people and cultures firsthand, which you can't do in many other professions. So that's another good reason to keep at it. But if you become good enough to get into a company, which almost anybody can if they work hard enough, it's really work. If they get into a company, you make a living. Now, ballet is also physically difficult, as you know, and it's kind of short-lived, meaning especially for a man dancer, you don't have a long career. You're not going to go into your 80s or something. But even if your career is short, say 20 years and you retire, say you go into a company at 18 and you retire at 38 or 40, that's only, 22 years. It's a really good 22 years, let me tell you that. And you learn a lot of things and meet a lot of people, and you get a lot of discipline you wouldn't have otherwise. But I also suggest to young dancers, boys and girls, that you keep getting an education, because right now, in my day, we didn't. In my day, when you went into a company, that was it, and you just stopped all schooling. But luckily now, with online classes and different things, you can get a college degree and be a professional dancer in a company. And when you follow your BLISS, now let's say specifically you're dancers, you're ballet dancers, and you're working very hard. So you follow your BLISS, you become very good, but at the same time, starting now, I don't care if you're 7 years old, start thinking about what another BLISS is, because I'm sure everybody can do more than one thing at a time, right? So you love dancing and you want to be a dancer, and like Balanchine said, you have to dance. It's not something you want to do, it's something you just have to do. Well, that's the best way. Well, you can't dance 24/7. Physically, you don't dance 24 hours a day. So now, luckily, with the internet and the computer and all kinds of things, there's other things to discover. So I suggest, and I always tell young students, that when you go home after working your ass off in class, which you have to do, you go home and see what else interests you, and look online and see, and then start studying that in your free time. Because at some point in your career, you're going to not dance anymore. You're going to stop dancing. You want to have that happen after you're really fulfilled and you've really danced and and it just physically it's time to stop, which happens to everybody. So it's nice to have a backup. Not that you're going to just drop your career, but it's nice that you to know, in other words, that when you're stopped dancing, for whatever reason, an injury sometimes happens or whatever, that there's something else that really you love, and you follow your brain, and it's another kind of bliss activity for you. So I always suggest that. I was always, even with the bullying in my youth, etc., I was always kind of proud to be a dancer. And for me, it was the music that did it. I was the one who forced my mother to take me to ballet class, because you put on music and I was out there jumping around crazily. I mean, insanely dancing. So it's pretty clear that I wanted to dance. And the ballet part of it, I also studied jazz and tap when I was very young. But the ballet was important because it's kind of the foundation. If you learn good classical ballet, it really helps you in any kind of dancing. It helps you in everything because it makes you focus. That's the other thing. They've done scientific studies on the brain. This is important for the teachers, and they have actually done scientific studies where the brains of children change chemically if they study the arts. And the highest levels of change is if they study dance or possibly orchestral music, because it's a combination of working in a group as a child. You learn how to accommodate others. You learn how to teamwork. Dancing, you have to think very fast, as you well know. When you get into performances, you have the lights and the costumes and the orchestra, and you have all the stuff being thrown at you. So your brain reacts, and it becomes quicker. And then even if you don't go into a dance career, you actually have better language skills, because you have to communicate with your partners and with your corps de ballet members and with the choreographer and your teachers. So you learn better language skills, and you learn cooperation, teamwork. Now, it's different than sports teamwork, because a lot of sports teamwork is to win against another opposing team. In dance, ballet, you're competing against yourself. You're always self-improving. You're always having to push yourself because you're looking in that damn mirror all the time, right? So you look in the mirror and you see your flaws. It's like, oh, I got to fix this. I got to fix that. And good teachers will help you because you can't see everything when you're turning, etc. So good teachers help you fix your flaws. And you can look at another dancer that's better than you and you can steal. I did that all the time. I'd look at better boys than me and I would just say, how is he doing those turns so well? And then I would steal. I would say, okay, oh, he's putting his arms in faster, or he's keeping his hip down a little bit. Oh, that gives him a better balance. So use your own brain. So you're competing against other people, but not to win a prize. You're just competing to better yourself, which I think is very healthy. I think it's much better than running out there to get an award or something like that. What good is that going to do you, really, right? But if you compete against yourself, then you get better. So I guess I've talked long enough. I hope this little chat helps if you're feeling stressed because you're dancing and you're young and you're in a small town somewhere and everybody in the corner doesn't go to see ballet performances like they do in New York City. In New York City, you know, you get in a cab and you'd be recognized by the cab driver. It's so funny all the time. I'd come into New York and I'd take a cab from the airport and they'd say, hey, I remember you from New York City Ballet. And I'd be, oh my God, you know. Now that's rare. That's only in New York City, maybe San Francisco, not even Los Angeles where I live. You don't get that at all here. So in a smaller town, you are going to be in the minority. Well, take that as pride. Take that as you're doing something that other people can't do or too lazy to do, or like the bullies, too afraid to do, too jealous to do. So that's a point of honor. Balanchine used to say to us, we're not civilians. He said we're special. He said we're angels. He would say people that devote their life to an art, which is a higher calling, is an angel. And last little thing maybe is when civilizations die, civilizations like the Roman Empire, they come and go, they live and die. What are they really remembered for in the long run? Really, the arts, the great poets, the great playwrights, starting back with Aeschylus and Aristophanes for the ancient Greeks. I mean, and the writers. Even though Socrates and Aristotle wrote about some of their big wars and Alexander the Great, but Alexander the Great was famous for all the civilization he brought around the world. So the civilization is what is the best thing about the human race. So you are at the top of the food chain here because you're artists. You do something not for money. You do something to better the planet. It's really true. Sounds grand, but you're really doing something important. And just think of when an audience sits in there in the dark, which they'll come back again after this pandemic is over, hopefully in the next 6 months. The audiences sit in the dark and you transport them just by what you're doing, not with a violin, not with a piano, just with your body, your physical being. You transport them and to a better place always, to a happier place. So it's a very important thing you're doing as dancers. So I encourage you to keep dancing as long as it makes you happy and as long as it's your bliss. If people don't agree with it, it's your life. You're the one who's going to have to live with yourself the rest of your life. They're not going to live your life. So follow your bliss. And I'm going to finish this with some excerpts of me going absolutely crazy in a ballet I did for my company to Ravi Shankar sitar music. And if you don't know sitar music, ask somebody. But anyway, and it's really fun, and I go absolutely crazy because this was the end of my career, and I was already in my 30s, and I had my fun audience in Los Angeles. It was an outdoor theater, and it was summertime, and we were all just going nuts. And so it's not really classical, but it's a lot of fun. So I'm finishing this with some excerpts from me, since some of you said you liked me, in my sitar concerto, following my bliss. Okay? And if you have any questions, you need to reach out to me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and you can find me. Okay, take care, and I love you guys. Bye.